Hello, my name is Francis Fox. I'm a trained remote viewer. I also have training and am skilled in all of psychic abilities, which all human beings have. The extra push that very successful business people have, the extra information that scientists get, that mothers get, that help them to do their jobs a lot better, has to do with intuition and accessing and honoring that information that is internally generated. I remind you again that when they did studies, university studies at Stanford about intuition, it was found that the businessmen that were very intuitive were also the most successful. And this would be increasingly important in every arena today because we are in a collapse of a paradigm. I finally found somebody else who recognizes bigger picture what's going on, which is that a paradigm we've been under for thousands of years is collapsing, and we're going into the age of Aquarius with very different values. In this transition from one state of values and cultures to another, there's a lot of danger and a lot of fear. That extra information, that intuition, is critical to being able to understand what you might need to do, what you might need to change in order not to be taken down by all of the changes. There's a big storm in Miami. So if anything happens, just know that I didn't just get bored with all of you or with myself and just signed off. So developing your intuition is very easy. Contact with nature makes a huge difference. Walk in a park, but not like a public park, but a place where you're kind of alone. Contact with animals, practicing your interspecies communication by talking to your pets and just hesitating to hear their response inside of your head and then not say what we all say initially is, which is, I made that up, and continue the conversation. And it can be a one-way street for a while as you tell that animal, whether it's a squirrel or your dog or somebody else's pet, that you want to learn to communicate. You want to know what's going on with them, with you, with the world. You want them to please give you information if there's something that you need to know that you're not going to get via the traditional avenues of information, many of which are collapsing today. So we have left the age of information. We're now in the age of transformation. We are transforming. Transformation can be really, really ugly. And it is for a lot of people. I certainly have to say that that was the case with me. As soon as I get out from under whatever it is that's sitting on top of me and controlling me, and I can be a free person, I need to go back and apologize to approximately 1,059 people about my god awful behavior while I was in my transformation, and having to work also against those extra forces that were trying to get me not to transform, that wanted to keep me exactly where I was before, which was basically a robot. So we are in very interesting times, and you should not chastise yourself if you don't have a grip on everything, because you can't possibly. Nobody, I was going to say nobody knew this was coming. That's not true. The Mayans knew it was coming 5,000 years ago. The Bible said it. All indigenous people talked about this time. The dolphins did. In that book that I have on Amazon called The Gods Speak, Dolphin Wisdom Revealed. And they started with the whole issue of world changes and catastrophes. I didn't want to talk about that. And I told them, I don't want to talk about that. That's very negative. Okay. So then they started talking about sex. And I went, I don't want to talk about that either. By the way, the most interesting and earth shaking comment they made about sex, and it's in that book, was that we really should not be limiting it to one person. That sex is like a physical exchange of love, and that there's no reason to limit it. There's no reason to commit to just one person. Well, I did not want to hear that because I'm a Cancer, I'm traditional, I did not want to hear that. So anyway, after that, the dolphins asked me what did I want to talk about, and I really didn't know. So the conversations kind of petered out. And I do speak to them, and actually, I need to ask them for a very wise message having to do with this election season. But today we have a big debate. So I went ahead and did a little bit of homework, which I don't generally do, and the astrological component. Knowing that in the last elections, basically all of the astrologers across the planet said that Trump was going to win. He didn't, even though some people say the election was stolen. And that was a big shakeup in the astrological community. And as I've told you previously, several of them called me and said, what went wrong? I mean, I saw it. It's in the charts. He was supposed to win. I did not respond to any of them having to do with what I did pick up, which was there was black magic done. The only trick is I'm not sure that black magic was done on the planet by the opposite party. I think it was a galactic black magic. So we can see why I wouldn't have responded to these astrologers that wanted a psychic to tell them why they made that mistake. So today I'm looking up in astrology who the astrologers think are going to win. And I finally I couldn't get solid information from any of them. And finally, at one of the pages I was at, the person said, I wish the astrologers would simply say what they're seeing. They're beating around the bush. Of course, they have post-traumatic stress syndrome from the last time, which was the last elections, when everybody said Trump was going to win and he didn't. So they all look like they were wrong. But remember, and I'm going to start doing the horoscopes in English, I say that there are two things that can block you from your astrological energies that are getting sent to you, that in this case would have been Trump winning. There's two things that can stop you. Number one is a huge trauma, generally in your childhood, where you have a portal open, a spirit came in, that spirit's still with you. And that spirit is not going to allow those good things that astrology is sending you to come in. The second thing that can stop you from benefiting from the great astrological energies, if there are any for you, is black magic. And that's why we do the aura analysis service, which is, and I'm not pitching it, and I'm hesitating because I want to say something and I'm wondering how many people are going to get really angry at me. But I'm going to go ahead and say it because at some point I have a service in which I analyze your aura. Years ago, I used to give half an hour appointments. And after the appointment, I would still have the client asking me more questions, even though the appointment was supposed to be open and shut. That's it. So I started to I shifted. I don't do that anymore. And people send me their photograph and I sketch it and I analyze. And what I find mainly are portals that are open, especially the left side of the head. They might be getting too radiated with Wi-Fi, etc., and a lot of black magic. So what I didn't want to say, but I'm going to say because it's going to come out eventually, and you're going to find out that I said it anyway. I really don't do our analysis for people that are not Hispanic. Why? Or from another culture. Because they are already educated about the other dimensions. They know about black magic. They've had to deal with it openly. They know about spirits, spirit invasion. And so when I sketch, I'm not starting from zero. I'm sending them something, and they're kind of familiar with the concepts of the things that I sketch because those are the most profound things that can stop you, such as the last election. Okay. If I do that for somebody who is not up to speed, having to do with the other dimensions, what I get is a very disgruntled client, at which point I'm going to have to give a refund, which is not a big deal for me. Giving the refund is not a big deal. I have a very unhappy person that just wants me to explain how they could have a spirit. What's that? Give me a break. So I don't do it. So when I said that a few minutes ago, I wasn't promoting it. I'm not interested in getting any more aura analysis orders. I do with my clients and followers, but if you're not up to speed in the other dimensions, it's only going to make you angry and upset. And you're going to take it out on me. Why aren't I giving you the traditional information of you're going to get a raise, okay? And your husband is not having an affair and your kid is going to get into that college. I don't do that because those are mundane things. If you're having an issue, you can ask me, what do I need to do to change this issue so that I no longer do it? Like when females can't find a mate and they'll say, what happened with this? And, why can't I want a mate. Am I going to have one? And I'll go, I'm not going to check because I don't do future because the future is really elastic and plastic. But why don't we look at your last mates and see what happened there, which means there's a pattern, then you work on the pattern and then your intention will come through. So that's the way I do it. But anyway, the whole thing with the aura analysis is very interesting because the gap between the people that are aware of the other dimensions, which is what has been known on the planet forever, and all those civilizations and all that archaeology that we do, all those question marks and what is that and what is that? Come on, by now you should know what it is that they're sketching on those walls. You got these big, tall beings. Why are you questioning? You think they were in kindergarten and they didn't know how to paint the beings the size of the normal, what we consider normal human beings? If all the different civilizations are drawing very tall beings, well, you know what? Then there were very tall beings on the planet at one time or many times or whatever. That whole questioning of, well, I wonder what that means when it's really obvious what it means makes me crazy. And I won't deal with it. So I've said to a lot of people, no, I don't. Oh, I want an hour analysis. No, I don't want to give you one because I don't want unhappy people. That's why I'm here, to try to get everybody up to speed. We are in very dangerous times, and not having this information is really dangerous. And by the way, it's the biggest block to the whole thing with aliens. Come on, you're going to really start believing in aliens from one minute to the next when you don't even believe in spirits? You think your kid, when he says there's something coming out of the closet or from under the bed or the back of the door, which is where they hide, you think he's just trying not to go to sleep. Come on. I'm going to wrestle with you? No. You need to wrestle with your belief system, because when the alien things completely unwraps and reveals, you're not going to even be, what do they call it, pre-kindergarten, pre-K? I think they call it pre-K. You're not even in pre-K. You're going to want your mommy really bad. And I can't be your mommy because the gap is too big. So you need to get yourself educated. So back to astrology and politics. So tonight we have a debate. Okay, so it turns out that Kennedy was a Gemini. I met him. You know the circumstances under which I met him. That makes sense. He was very curious. He asked a lot of questions about mundane things. Geminis are very curious. Okay, Trump is a Gemini. They're also very quick and they're curious. They want to know. And that's why when Trump sees a family or sees something, what's going on there? He wants to know. Geminis need that stimulation. They can be all over the place. I'm Cancer Gemini. I'm aware. You can be all over the place because you just want that extra information. What's going on over in that corner? I want to know what's going on. Get this corner under control. Yeah, but that looks really interesting. That's Trump. Biden is a Scorpio. He's not in the picture anymore. But Scorpios are really, they're all about karma. And Scorpios come in to behave, I swear. The most interesting thing about them is they come in to behave poorly to stimulate you, to simulate the people around you. At which time Biden would be coming in, being president to stimulate this country with bad behavior so that we go, what is going on? How can this be happening? And the how can this be happening doesn't have anything to do with Biden. It has to do with somehow we let this happen. And we need to figure out, how did we let that happen? How did we end up with a president that has Alzheimer's, dementia, both attention issues? How did we end up that way? Well, I can tell you as a psychic, this entire country has attention issues. This entire country has one foot into dementia. As a matter of fact, in intensive care, several years ago, I informed the public about something. There's something going on in intensive care that young people in their 30s are coming out with dementia. There's something going on in intensive care. I ended up having a client who asked me to check her mother was in intensive care. And what I saw was that around her bed, there were spirits, which I called the spiritual mafia, that were telling this woman that she just needed to die, that her family didn't want her anyway. She just needed to end it. She didn't want to live anyway. And they were hammering her with these messages. There's no way that woman was going to make it. And she didn't. She didn't. So intensive care units are governed by a spiritual mafia. And they don't look at whether the person is 80 or the person is 30. They're going to make them crazy anyway. They're going to make them lose it, and they're doing it. So going back to Biden, he's presenting a country full of people with one foot into dementia with his dementia. Well, how did that happen? Well, I don't know. Look at yourselves. So anyway, because he's a Scorpio. Scorpios are very sensuous. And the whole thing again, and I've said this before, the fact that he smells the little kid's hair and he touches them could mean god awful things, but it could also be simply the fact that he's a Scorpio. Okay? Kamala is a Libra. She believes in astrology, but then she's part Indian from the islands, I think. They all know about spirits and black magic big time. So here we go tonight with a debate with a Gemini, which is Trump. Geminis are like not two-faced, they're two beings. One is very bright and intellectual and quick. The other one's like a little kid that jumps up like, oh, what's that over there? That's Trump. And then you have Kamala, who's a Libra, who, by the way, Libras found out several weeks ago, according to my astrology, they went into shock when they realized that the only reason people were interested in them is because they wanted to use them. Ah, does that sound like what happened to Kamala? That she now got pushed up to first place? Is it because her handlers think that she should be in first place? Or is it because they're using her? I suspect we know the answer. But Libras went into shock when they realized, oh my God, all these people are simply using me. That was my astrology when I do the weekly astrology, which I think I'm going to start doing in English. So Libras are diplomatic. So what is it that Trump needs to pay attention to today? He's going against a Libra that's diplomatic. They generally always look good because they try to say the right thing. And then you have Trump, who's really quick. And for me, my worry is that he will end up looking like a bully with a Libra because he's very powerful. And I think that's great. I think power, the definition of power in the dictionary means the ability to do and the ability to act. It doesn't include the word abuse, but we associate it with abuse, the word power. Trump is very powerful. But if you have that gap between somebody who's very powerful and very knowledgeable and very quick and used to being in control, et cetera, with somebody who's a Libra, which is diplomatic and let's not make waves, my concern is that he's going to end up looking like a bully, and that it's not going to be about the information. It's going to be about personality. And if you're going to go with personality, Libras generally look good because they're diplomatic. They don't want problems. They want to soothe everything down. So if I was Trump, I would be really careful with his personal power. because he could end up looking like a bully. And nobody likes bullies today because we've had too many of them in our lives. Anyway, the interesting thing about astrology, they did a Pew poll, PEW, in 2023, and 70% of adults feel like they're spiritual, not religious, spiritual. That's huge. 95% of adults in this country know their astrological sign. That's huge. 58% of the population use astrology for entertainment, but 28% use it for direction in life. Both Harris and Trump have Gemini in their chart, and Gemini is apparently is very favored at this point. So they're kind of equal in that. So we'll see what happens tonight. My concern is Trump looking like a bully. If Kamala keeps on her Libra, let's soothe the waters face and hat. So we'll see how that goes. I got the music that I wanted to share with you, which I was going to say I got into a fist fight with Mateo Cuaron over it. I didn't, but I got very cranky. I had asked him for music that people could listen to, for composition that people could listen to all night long for their root chakra so that they would be rooted and grounded. Because when you're rooted and grounded, you don't have to deal with evil, according to the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, not the one that we're taught. Who did that? I don't know. I can guarantee you spirits were involved in that deviation of the translation. So when I listened to it, I said, there's nobody's going to be able to sleep with this music. This is unacceptable. Anyway, we didn't talk about it. I got it. And I put it on the other night when I was in a chat with him. My entire jaw tensed up, and he said he was kind of swaying in his chair. So I have it now. We're going to go ahead and do this mantra. Why are we doing this mantra? Hello, that's not it. Here we go. Let's see if this is it. The whole situation with the elections is we want peace and we want prosperity. And we need to choose who we think is going to actually be able to anchor that and keep that going. So this is the mantra we're going to do today. But we are going to use this new music. It doesn't have a video. So what you're going to see is a black screen. I don't think I want to keep myself on camera for the 10 minutes, but whatever. It's not important. So I want you to direct your attention and your breath to the bottom of the trunk of your body, which is in between your legs, and that's the root chakra. I want you to focus there and direct the music there. And then I want you to pay attention to the other parts of your body that start to respond, such as tightening up. The spirits don't like this music. So I tightened up in my jaw, which is where I have all my big issues, communication, etc. And Mateo is a Virgo, which is root chakra, and he was feeling it in the root more with the movement and the swaying. Let's see where you feel it. And let's do 10 minutes of this mantra to support that this debate reveal who can create miraculous peace and miraculous prosperity in the midst of chaos. Okay, we're going to do 10 minutes. And you can put your comments here, or you can put the parts of your body where you're feeling this. When you feel it in a part of your body, it means that the frequency cannot go through there. It's hitting up against something, and it's usually a spirit. Okay? Diana is saying something interesting. What is the meaning of a broken rainbow that she's seen lately? I saw one 2 days ago. It was a rainbow, and it was broken in what would have been the highest point, which is the crown chakra. I had never seen one either, Diana. I wonder what that is all about. I'll need to ask the dolphins. Okay, so here we're going to go. You got homework. You can't just do the mantra, repeating it in silence and expelling your breath through your mouth. You got to pay attention. Direct your consciousness to your root chakra and pay attention to where you feel the music, because you're hitting a spirit. Getting ready to kick it out. Okay. Where did you feel the music? Which means you have a spirit there attached. Oh, no, that's not possible. Oh, okay. Wait till the aliens show up. You are going to be so sorry you did not pay more attention. Or you'll be demanding that the government make all the decisions for you. Not a good idea. Luna, there is a big fire in Nevada. You can go to the other dimensions and call in the mantristas because we do our work there. We don't have to tell them physically, Luna. Just call them in from the other dimensions and ask them to go and do the glacier technique for the Davis Creek fire in northern Nevada. Oh, Nevada. How far up is Nevada on the map? We saw something yesterday. Let me hold on. In See how easy it is to deviate my attention? It's really easy. This is what we saw yesterday for the United States. And is it Nevada around here someplace? I need to look it up. And these are ET trying to, I remember what I said yesterday. They're trying to trigger a catastrophe. And certainly if you add more fire to this part of the country, which is already burning up, it's next to California. I need to look it up right now. And then you have a lot of black magic on Florida. This was yesterday's map. So, and you're going to give me a second, and I'm going to look up. Here's a map with states. You know, I don't have visual memory, thanks to the government. Let me see where Nevada is. Well, no, Nevada's further down. Okay. But anyway, we may find ourselves having some issues all the way up in, I'll tell you right now, the states. Washington, D.C. and Oregon. Washington State and Oregon. Okay. So how did you do with the music? Let's put the gold dress on. I wonder if there's any difference there. I have no idea. No, I don't really see a big difference. Actually, that's not true. In the hip area, the pink that I see is moving towards the center. It was at the left hip, and it's moving towards the center, which is really good for me. That's the way I see it. We will all see it differently according to our filters. So, where did you feel the music? Wherever you felt the music and you got tense, there's a block there. There's either a congestion of emotions or there's a spirit or both. And if there's a congestion of emotions, you're going to have a spirit eventually if you don't already. And if it's in an organ or near an organ, you're going to have some kind of an ailment, condition, uh, aches and pains. So this music, actually all the music that we produce that is composed by Mateo Guaron is also for self-analysis. Wherever it is that you can feel the music, it's because it's not going through your frequency, it's hitting up against something. So let's go ahead and end right now. We have debate to witness, and I saw a little bit of chaos. I don't do future, and I wasn't looking for future, but I saw a little bit of chaos having to do with something with Trump, something happening, a bit of scrambling, having nothing to do with the debate per se. Hopefully, that was a mistake on my part. We all have post-traumatic stress syndrome having to do with the attempted assassination, the entire country. So let's go ahead and say goodbye. Let's watch the debate. And I would suggest that During the debate, if you want for this country to be stable and peaceful, and that is your intention, stable, peaceful, prosperous, rather than winning, then I suggest you, with your mind, you create a visualization and you see the Medusas, the pink ones, all through the room, all through the public, all through the moderator, just floating and bringing their great energy. Bring in dolphins. Trump, I believe, is angelic consciousness, so you can bring in angels that would be around him to stabilize him. I would think that Kamala is probably dolphin. Um, I'm not 100% sure, but you might want to call in some dolphins to also stabilize her. We are in a transformation of the planet that has been talked about for thousands of years. We can't be hanging on to the result that we want. We want for this transformation to be as stable as possible. Even if it looks like the enemy won and that wasn't who we wanted, we need the stability or we will all go down together. Stabilize the other dimensions of the debate from when you start to watch it till when you finish watching it. But even if you're not watching it, from whatever else you're doing, stabilize it with images and animals and sounds, not this music. This music is too stimulating, which is why I got mad at Mateo. He gave me what I asked for, music for the root chakra, but I wanted people to sleep with it all night. And it wasn't possible because for the root chakra, it's usually like drums and stuff. So where was my head? I don't know. But he gave us a beautiful piece. That is not the kind of music you want during the debate. Let me show you the kind of music that you would want for peace and prosperity, which is what we're all supposed to be looking for. Okay? Hold on 1 second. Let me show you. And just keep this image and create it during the debate. So if Trump gets out of control with his Gemini whatever, or Kamala gets tongue tied and can't quite get the words out right, just visualize the animals that I suggested and the Medusas soothing the waters. We need to soothe the waters. The outcome needs to be peace and prosperity, not necessarily the person that we support. We have an opinion as to who is more able, in our opinion, to bring that to the table and to maintain it. But the ultimate goal for all of us is peace and prosperity. So, and visualizing these images in the other dimensions will help to create a debate where we are going to be able to see without trauma, without tension, without maximum tension, etc., what it is that these two people can present to us. Okay? Bye.